I did not even think about that.
That's my mic.
That's weird. Can you get sound?
Uh-uh.
Shut your mic off. Oh, yep, there we go. It says it's muted. I'm turning it off then.
to keep people informed on obviously the latest operations, and Doug has done a great job of allowing me an opportunity to help his agency. One of the great things about the national interest is hopefully sharing some of the donation opportunities. So we're hopeful. We've shared that information with some of the national organizations that have reached out, and hopefully it makes a difference. Really grateful to be a part of Potawatomi County during this time. And I will say one thing, that being in Minden, and for those that have visited, the overwhelming spirit of positivity was pretty evident the 2 times that I've been out there. So just want to congratulate everybody on really doing a job well done in a difficult circumstance.
I know you've taken a lot of weight off the shoulders of the EMA director by fielding that communication with the press. So thank you very much. GIS, Jamie, you were in them.
So Chris and I were in the UMC on Friday evening, helping that and touchdown report, helping their staff visualize the information coming in through CAD, through 911 calls, information coming in through phone calls directly to the center. And also started coordinating with Eagle View. So being under contract for all photos, they are going to be flying disaster recovery flights. So we should expect to see a good before and after photos of the tornado path, including Minden, including in the Crescent area, which will just help in recovery and assistance operations. We've been making maps for Crescent Fire Department. Anybody that's asked us to mark addresses or locations or intersections where incidents that have happened, that's what we've been doing. Folks were in our office this morning getting maps of those locations and assets, and continue to use the Teams platform that's been set up to share information, and going forward, that's what we continue to use that. Yeah, going forward, we won't have any other I guess plans other than what people ask of us. So if you're in this room and you have a need, reach out to me.
Thank you, Jamie. Matt Welber, County Attorney.
I don't have much. I answered a couple of calls with Doug to provide advice on our authority to deal with some unsafe structures. We had 2 homicides over the weekend, so honestly, I spent a lot more time dealing with the police department about that than I did with disaster response. Best thing lawyers can do in this situation is stay the hell out of the way. And that's also what I did.
Answer when we call.
Yep.
I called a couple of my employees to make sure that we were going to be ready for damage assessments and what we were going to have to do. Connected with Doug a few different times over some public health pieces that were up there on tetanus vaccinations and what we could do and what supply did we have. They had a local person up there providing some things. So at that point in time, I mean, we pretty much stayed out of the Minden area portion of this. And from Monday, then we started conducting our damage assessments. And I was just telling Doug, we have entered in 28 of them so far. 14 of those are 100% of a loss. Out of that 28 properties that we have had in, 21 of them had outbuildings, of course, rural environment that we're in. 19 of those properties have total losses on their outbuildings that they have. So that really would be from our Crescent area north, from Council Bluffs north, is the damage assessments that we have had conducted up through now. So today was our day to move south there, and we'll conduct those damage assessments. When you think of the damage assessments that we're doing, we're looking at the property as a whole. We match it up against their assessed value. If it deems that the repairs are more than 50% of the assessed value, then right now we're counting it as just a total loss property. More than likely, insurance company is going to come in and have it rebuilt on there. So pretty significant damage, obviously, that we've had on the rural side of things, and that's where we're at right now. We have public health helping us on our damage assessment team. Environmental health was out there as well, and some of our admin staff and our building inspections group. So
Thank you. IT, David?
Sure, we don't have a lot of direct involvement, but we are a support agency, right? So we didn't have anything specific on Friday night for us, other than monitoring to make sure the equipment was up and operational. And we didn't have anything go down other than a small switch at the Avoca courthouse, lightning strike nearby. But besides that, we didn't have anything equipment wise go down. But our role is going to be support. So kind of like what Jamie said, if you need anything, let us know. We've got, you know, all sorts of ways to communicate. We've set up the Teams channel. So feel free to use that as you're, you know, uploading files, chatting, communicating, those kind of things. That's a great way to do that. Got some laptops if people need that. Verizon, if we need them to bring in anything, they've got drones and mobile hotspots and things like that. If we need that kind of connectivity, we can certainly bring those kinds of things in. Website things, if we need some help with that, we can certainly do things there.
Speaking of the website, there's a new link when you log into the county website that asks for damage assessment. How are we informing?
I think, Craig, you put up a pop-up on the main website that points to the EMA's site. I think that's the general response now. So when people go to our website, they'll see that pop-up, which will direct traffic towards the EMA site.
So
Which has those kinds of.
Okay, so when you're doing your public assessments door to door, are you putting your information in there?
It's, when we talk damage assessments, the damage assessment Matt and his crew need to do for their operations is different from the disaster damage assessments that we file with the state for potential recovery purposes and documenting the incident. So it's a little bit different. So
I was speaking from the standpoint, we've got a collection point on the website. Who's informing the residents that they need to get to that website?
we are with Craig serving as our
Okay.
PIO for the incident. We put it in press releases, social media, like we normally do to get that information for the disaster impacts.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure the word was getting out and that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we're getting more and more starting to come in as things come down, so.
Thank you, David. County recorder, anything you want to add?
There's not a lot we can do in an official capacity, but some of my staff and I were out in Minden on Saturday helping clear debris. So if there's anything that any of you guys in here need help with, just holler and we're happy to pitch in.
Auditor Melvin?
Yeah, Doug kind of touched on this. We won't be too involved until the finances start popping up, but yeah, keep all those receipts if we do get a FEMA declaration, because Becky will need that for new project code. Right.
Please keep track of all of the hours and.
Plus the hours that the employees worked overtime, because payroll will need that also to track with any FEMA reimbursement. And any of the employees that are not back at work that were affected, we'll need to probably track that somehow. Probably, if they're not at work, are they going to get administrative leave or use their vacation time? I don't know how many employees are not back at work, but that's something that they. Pardon me?
You can speak to that when you're done.
All right, I'll let you speak after I talk about, if you do, and I'm sure this is not on any of the affected residents' minds right now, but voting for the primary, from what I understand, the church, the Methodist Church west of town in Minden is still okay. So we will still use that as a polling place, even though they may not be living in Minden and might be with their relatives in Harrison County. They can still come to Minden and vote. We will be treating them as either people who are in nursing homes that are still have a residence in Pottawatomie County, can vote absentee, or even snowbirds. So that's still available to them if you happen to run into anybody that asks, and we'll try to work with Craig to get some information on those people displaced too, that they can still vote. All right.
Sure, to talk about the employees, so
all of the department directors and everybody who has spoken has really talked such wonderful things about our employees that have helped manage this, and be out there to help for our citizens. But our employees are also our citizens. So we have employees that live in these impacted areas as well. So, Human Resources, I don't know if Heather's still here. We've just, taken a look and done some simple address searches for employees, have identified, and with some department heads and the Teams links that Susan has suggested, have identified some employees that have been impacted by these storms. Heather will be contacting them today on behalf of the board and Human Resources to talk about, is there anything that we can do for them right now? Or from an employee standpoint, just a reminder that FMLA is available for these employees and can and should definitely be used, as well as employee assistant, EAP with CHI, or any employee or any family member that does need to speak to someone. This is a very difficult time, both now and after, right? If you have a child that starts having nightmares because of storms or something, EAP can assist. We can always talk with them about coming down here. I know that they are located in Papillion, but we can talk with John Hill about coming down here to meet with some of our employees. When we've taken a look at those employees that we believe are impacted, and just simply taking a look at leave balances, right? The employee or the county provides nice vacation and sick leave balances, and so far everybody is okay. We have donated leave programs available, and then we can have further conversations too if there is something different that we would like to look at for these impacted employees.
Thank you, Janet. Treasurer and Underwood first responder.
The only thing is my email is on the website. Nobody thinks of this, but when I saw that in Minden, Iowa, or in Dow City, Iowa, there was a sign from the Minden Church. I'm sure many people's titles to their vehicles are in somewhere else in this whole world. Please reach out to me. I will, put you up in front of the line. I will give you, what you need as far as, get a duplicate title. I mean, it seems not very important, but it's going to be important when your insurance company comes and they want to see a title. I'm on there, I live in Underwood, Iowa. Stop by my house. I'll be glad. I'll have the forms, drive up the driveway. I'll stop by my hay bales. I'll stand on the side of the road. I'll wave, whatever you need. Are you coming?
I see that.
So, whatever we can do as a county. I said to Jana, 1988, we were hit in Council Bluffs, Iowa. We were still here. We didn't know what happened outside because this building is so secure. But it happened before in 88 when it was a devastation, and it's worse now. So, reach out to any one of us. We'll be glad to help.
I think a lot of those issues, like your car registrations or voting or whatever, we need to get on the website so that, that those people.
The last
will-
time the
will know
governor,
that.
when there was a mass casualty or disaster, she waived the fees as far as titles, registrations. I have the power and we'll work with you.
Thanks, Lee. Just real quick if I could, because there's gonna be a lot of situations like we just talked about with some of the departments. And obviously, people are used to coming to, maybe your portion of the website, or you've got different groups you can communicate to. But what we would like to ask, for ease of use as well, or to make sure that we get the most bang for our buck communication wise. If you have special programs that you or the board authorizes through your department, services that can be available, anything else like that, that it also gets to Craig immediately, so we can kind of put it in the centralized hub for information that's been communicated to the residents from the start, that will continue through the recovery process. To make it a little bit easier to find a one-stop shop, and that doesn't mean that we want to take over your communications world or anything like that, but something as simple as long as we know about it, we can have that statement as a link on the website or in the press releases that we send out that can direct them directly to your site with more information. So it'll be real important now, but also moving forward, that we're doing a really good job in that joint information management and making sure that we're communicating. So if anything is going on disaster related, or especially if you know, hey, I've heard this is going on kind of a deal. Especially make sure you're kind of getting that to Craig first before we put out any disaster specific information or resources. That way we know we're sure of it. There's a lot of things that are going to pop up, a lot of rumors, or a lot of things that might not be good to put out there as a resource for our citizens too. I mean, there are still bad people out there, as I'm sure our county attorney can attest to, that sometimes like to take advantage of these situations. So that just gives us a place to do it, but also to centrally locate all the critical assets, resources, and programs that are available. Like I said, we're not going to redo anything, but maybe just link it to your information. But that makes it easier for disaster survivors to find as much information in one spot. It makes it more convenient and it's not as frustrating, and that helps everybody out in the end. So thank you. If we could prioritize that from a department level, that'd be great.
Assessor, any, yes, the assessor's office will coordinate with other, offices to help us identify properties that are damaged or destroyed. So we'll coordinate with them. There is a form on our website, for property owners, if they want to go in and fill out that form to, double down on us getting notified. These new values will be for 2025. It will be out at a later time.
Thank you very much. Suzanne, mental health.
Well, obviously going forward, any mental health needs will probably continue to grow. So I think as we get beyond the crisis point of the shock people are in, there'll be resources available. So I'm offer to be a key contact point for that if necessary. But we know that when these things happen, it takes a long time, especially for people directly impacted. So we'll have some resource connections.
Are you coming to the other?
I will.
Thank you.
We've got some resource connections for people that can easily, so good idea about linking. We'll get our link directly that has all the resources for Potawatomi County for one easy stop for people. So yeah, so going forward, there is a disaster behavioral health response team I was in contact with yesterday. And again, we were just talking about the appropriate time for those longer term services to be available for folks.
Thank you, Suzanne. Is Chris here from WIC? All right. Mitch Kai, Mayor of McClellan, anything you want to add?
No, we're pretty close to the one that ended up in Minden. It was about a mile from this actual city. We lost one house about a mile and a half just outside of town. Which hopefully they're getting plenty of support, and like I said, there's plenty of one-off ones throughout the county, so we'll do our best to support them. I would like to give a shout out to Mid-American Energy and all the linemen that they coordinated with right along that road between Quick and McClellan. There was probably 7 or 8 power poles snapped off, and plus some other ones on Highway 6, and the whole town was without power, but only for about 6 hours. So we feel pretty fortunate in our situation, and so I just want to give them a special shout out.
Super, thank you. I want to mention that yesterday morning I had a conference call that was convened by the Iowa West Foundation that included the Omaha Community Foundation, Community Foundation for Western Iowa, and the Lakin Foundation. And they were just fact-finding. They are anxious, well, they are already raising funds. The Community Foundation has a website set up already, a fund specific for the city of Minden. They are collecting. They just need to know what our short-term funding needs are and what our long-term funding needs are. So we need to start making our list and start being intentional with our resource needs. I've also got a meeting set up on Thursday morning with Advanced Southwest Iowa, WIDA, which is Western Iowa Development Association, and the Iowa Western Community College SBA office. They are going to work specifically with the small businesses that are impacted to help them locate resources to either build back or relocate or whatever they need, tough decisions. So that's just an introductory meeting for them. I was reminded yesterday on a phone call that Neola's Community Center does have a collection site set up, and we need to funnel people to that building for any needs that they have.
Crescent has one as well.
And Crescent has one? Okay,
Yes.
okay. Well, I was,
We're gonna be, one of the things Craig and I are gonna work on is kind of get a summary of the general list items they have, add that to the primary disaster website page, but also re-announce those opportunities for people to give and also to receive if they're affected in one of our upcoming press releases.
great. Need to have paper communication and we need to have social media communication.
One thing I'd like to ask everybody, sorry, I'm butting in and I'm gonna have to take off here in a minute to get ready for this other meeting. It speaks to something that Supervisor Jorgensen said about being lucky it wasn't late or overnight and things like that too. I just want to mention the support that the departments provide our office in preparedness is huge, right? So you get a lot of repetitious, annoying emails from your emergency manager when we're in severe weather season. And hey, this could happen, be ready. We want to do this or join this call kind of thing. And we do get participation, but this is proof positive why we try and communicate about this with departments and organizations ahead of time to include our schools and stakeholders. I mean, we had schools, thankfully, they've been great partners. They're canceling evening and afternoon activities. And, there were a lot of things going on that by being plugged into the network, they do it. One of the areas we can improve on is everybody advertising to our residents to sign up for that Alert Iowa system. It gives them automated text, email, phone calls when we have serious weather moving in. Some people can find it annoying at times, yes, but there'll be one time like this where it's not quite so annoying. And to be out there, when we had to take the governor around and some other officials, and some of you were out there, to be standing there with the governor, while a resident of Minden is wheelchair bound, saying, that system makes a difference. He's like, it takes me a little while to get to a safe place in my home. And if I wasn't getting phone calls when everything else isn't working, or I don't have the TV on or something, he's like, that thing was going off. It was like, yeah, it's time to do something. So that gentleman, attested to the importance of not only being prepared as departments and a seat of government, but as individuals for ourselves, for our families and our coworkers too. So anytime you get a chance, or, you see these, little flyers I send out and say, hey, maybe post them up in your public spaces. But I just want to say it makes a difference, and it can help save lives. So we thank you for what you do and help us spread the preparedness message. But it's times like these where we need to recommit to seeing what a value it is to do things before something happens than after. So that's all I got. Thank you.
I have a proclamation of disaster emergency that was prepared by the EMA agency. I'll just read through it here quickly. Whereas on April 26, 2024 and continuing thereafter, a series of severe storm systems affected Potawatomi County. And whereas these storm systems caused severe weather, including damaging winds, straight line winds, tornadoes, heavy rainfall, flash flooding, hail, and thunderstorms, resulting in significant damage to public and private property, and power outages resulting from downed power lines and poles. And whereas Potawatomi County has suffered significant damage from this event, and whereas there is a need for assistance and resources to respond to and recover from the effect of this event, and whereas the conditions threaten the public peace, health, and safety of the citizens of the county and have damaged and destroyed public and private property. Because of this, they provide legal justification for the issuance of a state of emergency pursuant to our authorities vested to the board by Iowa Code. Now, therefore, the Board of Supervisors of Potawatomi County, Iowa, do hereby proclaim a state of disaster emergency for the County of Potawatomi, and do hereby order and direct the following. Section 1, this proclamation activates the disaster response and recovery aspects of the Potawatomi County Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan and is the authority for the deployment and use of any forces to which the plan applies and for use or distribution of any supplies, equipment, and materials and facilities assembled, stockpiled, or arranged to be made available. Section 2, this proclamation authorizes the use and deployment of all available county resources, supplies, equipment, and materials as are reasonably necessary to assist those citizens located in the disaster area. Section 3, the Emergency Management Coordinator is delegated the authority to facilitate and coordinate the implementation and execution of the Potawatomi County Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan. Section 4, this state of disaster emergency shall be effective retroactively to April 26, 2024, shall continue for 30 days, and shall expire on May 26, 2024, unless sooner terminated or extended in writing. In testimony whereof that the Board of Supervisors for the County of Potawatomi County has executed this power pursuant to Iowa Code. I have hereunto subscribed my name. All right. So with that, I will entertain a motion
So
to,
moved. Second.
motion by Shea, second by Belt, to approve and authorize the board to sign the proclamation for Potawatomi County State of Emergency as a result from the April 26, 2024. Additional discussion.
Thanks for everybody doing what you've done.
I'd like to give a shout out to the city too. Not only he sent law enforcement to Minden, but Matt reached out right off the bat.
Thank you, Matt.
And I just reiterate, offer to help in any way we can. We can marshal city assets. We've got building inspectors who went to Pilger and inspected their buildings oftentimes. Those buildings look safe, but they really aren't. We had a phone call. Somebody wanted to open up the recycling center for free dumping. It's spring cleaning time, and so we really don't want to do that because every contractor in town will be down there dumping their stuff for free. But if we can figure out some way that that we can identify the needs in that area, we're certainly willing to do that. So please reach out. I mentioned FEMA. We've got people that are experienced in filing FEMA claims. One example that I told Tim about is any regular time work spent on a disaster was immediately dismissed by FEMA. Any overtime immediately was paid. And so you need to be strategic in how you do that.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. That's experience.
Keep track of your receipts.
We will.
Doug, real quick, you get pretty good weather forecasting there at your station. What's the situation currently? Are we still in a severe weather threat of some kind?
Yeah, we're in an enhanced risk for severe weather today. I think the last update this morning we've got says about a 70% probability of seeing some type of severe weather. What that shakes out to be, I don't know, but all forms of hazardous weather are on the table. To what degree, I don't know what they're changing. Hopefully the sun stays hidden and the rain this morning continues. That'll take some juice out of the atmosphere, but we will, my staff was on a call with them at 10 a.m. We had a conference call set up with them. And then we've got a special conference call set up with them to check for any updates with Unified Command out in the Minden area where we have most of our people out and about and citizens and not a lot of places to shelter folks. So we'll be having a call, similar deal at 1 o'clock from the command post out there to make a determination on operations moving forward. So.
Doug, do you not have a communication to Mother Nature?
Apparently I don't.
You have everybody else, so what's the deal?
She's obviously not happy with me right now.
Alvin, we call the roll, please.
Chairman Miller,
Aye.
Supervisors Wickman.
Aye.
Jorgensen.
Aye.
Shea.
Aye.
And Bill.
Aye.
Thank you,
Here's
Doug.
your signed proclamation.
My apologies, but I'm going to have to excuse myself.
Free money. This make sure it's free money is right.
John Rasmussen, you mentioned that removal. Have we notified the city of Crescent, so are they fully aware that of your plan?
Notification went out on the system, their subscriber gets personally reached out with the same reason.
I would ask you to personally reach out to the city of Crescent and make sure they're aware that that road's
We'll
gonna close.
maintain emergency traffic and the people that live there will get.
And there's a social media page for the city of Crescent too. Pardon me?
The city's been notified.
Yeah.
City and multiplier.
Okay.
You know that the interstate's gonna be closed going south, starting tomorrow.
Closed or links.
No, they're gonna close the ramp south. Go out to the other exit and turn around and come back, so. It is what it is.
Yeah, it is.
I saw that this morning.
Well, I mean, it's really important, the notification process to be,
Oh, yeah.
those people are aware or do that. So, thanks for that.
All right, next on the agenda, Matt Wyatt, Director of Planning and Development, discussion and or decision to approve and authorize the board to sign resolution number 38-2024, resolution waiving permit fees for properties with damage from the April 26, 2024 tornadic activity.
At my time with the county, we've had 3 different major weather events, the 2011 floods, 2019 floods, and then now we're here today. During the flood period, the board this is just for something for you all to consider, because during those times, the board did, when it came to the recovery effort, waive the fees for permits for those residents who were affected by those events. So I put this together for today, for something to the board to consider. We still, the permit, what this would do is would waive the permit fees. We would still expect that permits be applied for. We would still do the inspection process for the permits and track them from beginning to end on those. And we would, even for on our agricultural side, we would still like the agricultural community to come in and have and submit for their agricultural exemptions on there. At a time when the recovery time starts, we all know you're going to see an avalanche of contractors inundate the area, some of them with or without good intentions. And the permitting process helps ensure that they've at least registered with the state of Iowa as a contractor on there. And then it's just a third set of eyes to make sure that the work being done is meeting the applicable building codes for that structure, whether it's an outbuilding or whether it's a new home or repair to a home. It gives our inspectors that chance to get in there and review those things. But it is, as they go through and they're dealing with their insurance companies, I'm sure a lot of them want to get permits full and they'll want to pay for that out of their pockets. It's just one expense that can be, whether taken away at this point in time and be allowable to issue these permits without fees. We'll still review all the process and everything else will remain the same.
Motion to approve that one. I'll second.
Does that include the community inside the communities, or you?
No,
You don't have
we do not have jurisdiction there.
don't have any agreement with the communities, within the community.
Correct. We do not have any agreement with any of our small towns to provide building code services in there. I do have a phone call out just to let our state electrical inspector know that we could potentially help back up any effort that they are doing, because the state electrical inspectors do have jurisdiction all throughout the state within those small towns, and they will inspect electrical reconnects and repairs.
They'll still charge fee?
I don't know.
Okay.
I do not know what the state's doing.
We have a motion by Shay and a second by Jorgensen to approve resolution number 38-2024. Melvin, will you call the roll, please?
Chairman Miller,
Aye.
Supervisors Miller.
Aye.
Wickman.
Aye.
Shay.
Aye.
And Jorgensen.
Aye. Matt, these expenses could be reimbursed at FEMA level or something, is that?
In the past, we've not had them reimbursed from FEMA on there. I did have an opportunity. I was on the phone call with Chairperson Miller yesterday with different foundations, and I do think it's something that maybe we could approach and ask the foundations if we track it to say, hey, could you help reimburse some of these costs for us at the county level?
We got Mayor Matt Walsh, City of Council Bluffs, and Pete Tulipana, President, Southwest Iowa Nonprofit for Collective Impact. Discussion and or decision for funding for a state of Iowa grant with the local match of the city and the county. And thank you so much. When we put you on the agenda, we weren't expecting to be an hour behind schedule. So thank you very much for.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak. I feel a little weak-kneed after the gravity of the conversation prior to this, that to bring this forward, which is of much lesser concern, but I'm here with Pete, who we've all seen the improvements on the Omaha side of the river. The Council Bluffs side of the river is on the wet side of the river, and so it requires the Army Corps of Engineers approval, and that approval's taken a long time. Pete's raised a lot of money. I can't even guess. It's tens of millions, tens of thousands. Tens of millions for the riverfront improvement, but in the 3 years we've been working with FEMA, costs have gone up and so there was a shortage, and Pete's back out on the philanthropic tour trying to get additional funding to cover that shortfall. I'll let him address any questions you might have, but he was able to get a grant from the state of Iowa that requires financial show of support from the local government. And so a week ago, Monday, the city council approved a $50,000 show of support, and we would here today asking the county for 25,000. And I turn it over to Pete if he has anything additional to say, because
I feel that's gonna be quite a deal down there, so.
Yeah, the original budget for this, which was actually established 7 years ago, was $47.7 million. With all of the inflation and construction costs we're now at $56 million. So we raised the $47.7 million. So I'm out raising $8.3 million in additional money. We think we're going to have core approval this summer. We have a construction company set to begin construction. The packet that you have has some pictures and a reminder of what we're building down there. Everything has been designed to flood and to survive the worst flood we could have. Trust me, that's why the costs are so additional, have increased so much. So I've raised about half of that last $8 million. We have a chance for $1 million from the Department of Economic Development, and that's why we're here, because it requires a contribution from you guys.
At a Destination Iowa grant, or does it?
We actually have a Destination Iowa grant of $4.9 million, and that is in our original budget. This is an additional $1 million grant that's coming out of the Department of Economic Development, and it's not the tourism grant. It's a different grant, and I'm sorry I forgot to write down exactly what it's called, but it's from Debbie Durham's office. Yeah.
Can you scroll through just, we've got the packets in front of us, but the photos speak a lot to the project, and
I would just mention too that we've gotten a lot of support from Omaha for this project, obviously. So despite the fact that they kicked us out of the original plan to do one big regional thing, we have been able to get support from Omaha foundations.
Omaha's expenses came in far in excess of what they initially planned, and so
I think it was 50 million Theirs was 50 million over budget. Ours is 8. And we have issues, but I think we're going to work through them all.
I'd make a motion to approve the 25,000 out of gaming.
Second.
We have a motion by Shay and a second by Belt to approve funding of 25,000 for the state of Iowa grant. And it'd be funded from our gaming fund. There additional discussion.
You guys need that this fiscal year or next fiscal year, or July 1st?
I'm sorry, did
We
you
did
hear
that
that?
before or after July 1st?
After July 1st would be fine. This July 1st.
Yep.
Yeah. As long as you have it, as long as we have.
Tomorrow never comes.
As long as we have your vote and your approval, that's what we have to be able to tell the state that you have voted and approved it. Yeah.
Very good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion has carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for waiting.
Nice to see you, Pete.
Good to see you all.
Always good to see you, Pete.
It's a whole new world down here. The renovation is terrific. Congratulations on that.
Okay, next up, Becky Linehan, Finance and Tax Officer, Auditor's Office. Discussion and or decision to approve and authorize board to sign resolution number 32-2024 entitled Resolution for Transfer from Lost Secondary Roads Fund to Bond Series 2021 C Debt Fund.
So move.
Second.
Is there anything you want to add, Becky?
These are just funds to pay for the bonds that were issued to the roads department, and they're coming out of his local option sales tax. Same as the next resolution that's on the agenda.
All right, thank you, Becky. All right, we have a motion by Wickman, a second by Belt. Melvin, will you call the roll, please?
Chairman Miller,
Aye.
Supervisor Belt.
Aye.
Wickman.
Aye.
Jay.
Aye.
And Jorgensen.
Aye.
Next, we have Becky Linehan, Finance and Tax Officer, Auditor's Office, discussion and or decision to approve and authorize board to sign resolution number 33-2024 entitled Resolution for Transfer from Lost Secondary Roads Funds to Bond Series 2020 B Debt Fund.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, Melvin, will you please call the roll?
Chairman Miller,
Aye.
Supervisors Belt.
Aye.
Wickman.
Aye.
Jay.
Aye.
And Jorgensen.
Aye.
Right, moving to the next one, Becky Linehan. Discussion and or decision to approve and authorize board to sign resolution number 37-2024 entitled Resolution for Transfer from Lost Secondary Roads Funds to Secondary Roads Fund.
So moved.
Second.
This one comes from John. He requested each year. It's moving monies from his local option sales tax fund to his operating fund to cover capital improvement expenditures.
This one is for 3.5 million. All right, we have a motion by Jorgensen, a second by Shay. Additional discussion. Melvin, please call the roll.
Chairman Miller,
Aye.
Supervisors Belt.
Aye.
Wickman.
Aye.
Shay.
Aye.
Jorgensen.
Aye.
Thank you very much, Becky.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, John Rasmussen, engineer, discussion and or decision to approve and authorize board to sign grant agreement number 24-9 from Hungry Canyons Alliance in the amount of $17,618.82.
Second.
You want to speak to it, John?
Yeah, sure. This is one that Ring and Office worked to put together. The total project cost is $89,505. The eligible items for grant reimbursement are only $22,000. So in the agenda just lists the reimbursement amount of the 17,618. Not all the projects eligible. Hungry Canyons pays for grade control, so we're controlling the erosion and the depth that the creek channel grows. So they just pay for those items. This is a pipe that's gonna replace a bridge as well.
We know that's one of your recommendations.
Go ahead.
And it's your recommendation?
Absolutely.
All right, we have a motion by Wickman and a second by Shay to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion has carried. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
All right, next we have discussion and or decision on a letter of support for Playhaven Child Care Grant application. Playhaven Child Care is a project that's been in the works in the city of Walnut. It's actually taking, out of the Peace Haven structure, they're not using one wing. And so they're looking at converting it for childcare, which makes a whole lot of sense. They need just shy of $1 million for this project. And so far they've raised 70,000. They are in contact with several foundations for funding, and they would like a letter of support from the county. And I have been to the programs. I've seen it. It makes great sense. Rachel Hamilton is the president of their board. And if there's any questions I could answer for you, or we can get Rachel to answer them. But this is
Make a
just
motion to approve. I'll second.
additional discussion. All right, we have a motion by Shay and a second by Jorgensen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion has carried. Thank you. Next is discussion and or decision on a letter of support for the city of Walnut for the Walnut Main Street program application. The city of Walnut has been working with Oscar Duran and his group, which is Black Sail LLC, I think. And he's been working with Walnut to find funding to build apartments in their old school building. And one way that they could be eligible for more funding would be if they were chosen as a Main Street program community. Currently, Avoca is on the Main Street program, and they've seen the benefits that it's provided to the city of Avoca. And Walnut would also like to be in that application pool and have requested a letter of support from the county supervisors. Is there any questions?
Moved. I'll second.
Motion by Shay, second by Jorgensen to support the city of Walnut's application for the Main Street program. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you.
Susan, just real quick, I had a chance to talk to the governor Saturday and mentioned Brick Street infrastructure. She's gonna take it to court, so discussion. Possible rerouting truck traffic.
Oh, okay.
So she's on.
Great, thanks. All right, next, discussion and or decision to let the Historical Society put a historical sign on the Green Valley Cemetery gate. This was a request that was submitted by Richard Warner. Richard here.
We put the gate up. Was it last year or year before? We put the gate up to the old pauper cemetery.
I thought I was thinking.
And they would like to put a plaque up there. And they just wanted us to be aware and ask for our permission to do that. With that, I would make a motion to approve. Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Shay and a second by Jorgensen to approve the request. Additional discussion?
Is this, are we maintaining that cemetery then?
Our buildings and grounds goes up there and mows that.
They do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you ever been down in there?
Oh, yeah. from the backside.
Yeah,
We just need to coordinate this with Chase, probably.
it's really just, they want to put it on the gate
Right.
area, so.
Yeah, Jason. So he's aware of it.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion has carried. Next, Kate Bremer, Emergency Management Specialist, Iowa Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management. Update on drainage district projects.
A lot of other things today, so I just want to give a quick update that we realize it has been 5 years since the flood. Unfortunately, we still have many projects still open out there. We have 31 drainage districts with 60 projects. It's about $53 million. That's statewide. That's not just in Pot County. And I have been charged with getting that together, figuring out what our next steps are. And so that's my visit with the trustees and the board today to touch base on what Pot County drainage districts are out there, what your priorities are, what the trustees' priorities are, and do our very best to get them taken care of. We do know it's been a long time. There have been many, many staff changes, both at FEMA and at the state. And we're sorry it's taking this long, but I'm going to do my very best to make sure that we're moving things forward in the right manner and getting those taken care of. The folks are very important to the state, and we need to make sure that you're taken care of like you take care of us. So thank you for your time today, and yes.
Pigeon Creek Drainage District, are you aware of what's going on there?
Yes, I am, along with Honey Creek.
Okay,
Those two, and that's something that I will be discussing a little bit later on. There are, and I may as well share this with everyone here. FEMA has a section called Environmental and Historic Preservation. They have many, and about 6 more laws that they need to take into effect on what you can do in water. If there's a particular fish in there, if there is a tree nearby that's going to get knocked down and a bat may be nesting in it. And there is a Nebraska project where they actually did a timeline for the year to show them what months they could work in. And it was a limited number of months because of these environmental considerations. Honey Creek and Pigeon Creek, theirs has to do with soil. And it is something that we have 2 of our staff that are dedicated to those 2, and there is 1 other with the same issue. And they are working on that. And unfortunately, there will not be a quick solution to it. It is something that we are calling, emailing, having meetings with, and trying to get those resolved. One of the issues has been in some instances, and I apologize, I don't know for certain it's any of the Pot County ones, environmental laws came into effect after the project was obligated. In essence, after it was finished, because the work was done here. And then this new law comes in and they says, well, they say you didn't abide by that. It wasn't in effect. So that is the type of thing that we're fighting. And so we get so far with the project and then we hit a stop sign. And that's what happened in Pigeon Creek and Honey Creek.
and so FEMA is not paying because of that.
Correct.
They put in new laws after it was done.
I don't know if it applies specifically to that one.
Okay,
That has happened to some of them, but it does have to do with where they got the dirt from.
yep.
And it wasn't approved beforehand, and so we're working on that, and it is, it's incredibly frustrating for us. And I'm sure it's frustrating for the environmental people too, because well, why can't you follow these rules that make perfect sense to them, but they're not out in the fields planting and reaping and doing all the things that farmers need to do. So, but those are 2 of our priorities. As I said, we have 2 staff members specifically working on those, and that will be part of my update to the board in our meeting a little bit later on. All righty.
Kate, have you got your information that we could get in touch with you. Could you send it to the board?
Yes, I certainly can.
Thank you.
So are we aware that Troy, did he send all the paperwork over to, John?
Jennifer, that's part of the, issue with the drainage districts is they are in different counties with different boards. They have different attorneys, and they have different engineers, and sometimes the engineers have changed. And so what I'm trying to do is put them in groups and get them lined up. I have met with Troy, several times now. I've met with John Rosengren several times. And, we're trying to gather all that up. I have another 2 engineers to meet, this week. So we're going to, getting them lined up and coming up with a strategy is the biggest part right now.
Like herding kitty cats.
Exactly.
This is still dealing with the 2019 flood.
Yes, they are all the 2019 flood. Yes.
Okay,
5 years later, yes, we are still working on it.
okay, thank you.
You're more than welcome. Not wrong.
Thank you very much, Kate.
You're more than welcome.
All right, next up, Jana Limerick, Director of Human Resources, discussion and or decision on pay for Hawk Watch counter, compiler, and interpreter position in conservation.
Similar to the other temporary seasonal positions that we've increased with conservation throughout the past 6 months or longer. We're asking, it is $11 to $12. We're asking to take it to $13 an hour.
When did we start paying the?
Oh, we have for years. Yeah, we also do have some volunteers. You know, it's a really interesting position. Really unique. It's a real niche position that people travel to come and do this for us. If you're interested, the job is posted right now on our website. Go to the posting, click on the word here, and watch a video that conservation has about this role to give you more information about it.
How long will this last?
I don't know how long that lasts.
Migratory season.
Yeah, through the migratory season. How long is that? I don't know. It's in the video. I can tell you that though.
Is this in Mark's budget?
Yes, yes. Yeah, he does not need any budget changes for this.
Second.
Motion by Wickman, a second by Belt to approve the Hawk Watch position. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion has carried. Thank you. Just as a point, we've got a couple of more agenda items here, but if anybody is here for public comments, we do have a sign-up sheet over here. If you want to put your names on it, and then you'll be called upon after, when we get to the public comment section. All right, next, Melvin Hauser Auditor, discussion and or decision on employment of a part-time temporary clerk.
Okay, so Linda's been without experienced assistance since September, I think, and we had a hire that didn't work out, and now our new hire, Brad Swope, has only been there for 6 months. So Linda is kind of behind and under the gun. Last week, she got a call from the city of Council Bluffs, who's wanting the file for the drainage parcels in the Seek and Mosquito Creek drainage districts. Those Seek and Mosquito Creek. And there's about 3,000 parcels. She's way behind on her splits and combinations, which we need to get to Becky at some point before tax time. So we decided we should bring in Joan Miller, who was Marilyn Joe's drainage clerk for years and years and years. And she had come in after Linda took over in 17. Joan came in and helped her out, you know, trained her on assessment of drainage parcels. And then I think she had to help her a little bit again on 18. Well, Linda's so far behind, we wanted Joan to come in and kind of help her get caught up, because the city wants this thing, and then Lee will want those other drainage assessments by, she usually wants them by the end of May, so, between drainage assessments in the city and north of town and getting all the splits and combines done, we needed Joan to come in and help, so. She's gonna be set up in, my office and working half days, a couple of days a week, just to help get things ready before tax time.
How long will this last?
Well, I asked Linda this morning, she thought she might have to work up into June. It just depends how many hours it's gonna take. Then she's gonna help her get caught up with the splits and combinations for, and transfers are okay, right? We're keeping up with the simple transfers.
I'll have to get a month behind on transfers.
Okay, so Brad's in there learning as much as he can, but just to get through this spring. And then, of course, if the Pigeon Creek 2 annexation comes through, I don't know what sort of load that would put on her next spring for assessments. I'm guessing they probably won't get the Pigeon Creek 2 annexation done before tax time this year, since they haven't.
So by then Brad should be up to snuff, right?
On drainage?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. It's a little more involved than, you know.
Okay.
He's gonna try to start helping her on some of the stuff, I think, but
It's just, it's for Melly.
you know, it's,
He's got one surveys. He's got a lot other.
he's got a lot of other stuff on his plate.
We're going back to the question. How long do you think this is?
Probably up through June before we gotta get to
So 2
all
months?
this. Yeah, but she'll just be in off and on,
Half a day.
several days a week.
If it's
What-
that critical, why not get somebody in here that can do it for 12 hours a day and
Well,
knock it out?
There's 90-some thousand people in this county. There's 2 people that know how to do this. Joan and Linda.
Is there anybody else in your office that can do any of this work?
Well, Candy is helping train Brad, but to do the drainage parcels, I don't know if there's any
I
other.
probably could do it, but I don't have time.
So then why isn't there anybody else in your office that can help out?
Because they're busy doing their own job. Because you could probably get maybe, I don't know whether, like Jody could do some of the parcel entries or something, but she's got an election coming up. And I don't know that payroll people would be able to jump in and help because they're doing their stuff. And Thea's busy all day long doing claims.
I just think that you have some really good quality employees in there that can probably do a little more than be a one-job person. You've never worked on trying to cross-train anyone, and that's a little disappointing, but when you take a look at what you want to do here, how did you come up? Now, this is a temporary position. How'd you come up with the hourly rate of $32.42 an hour?
That is the salary she was making when she left.
Was she a deputy when she left?
Yep. And that was her hourly rate.
But she's not coming back as a deputy.
No, she's coming back as part-time.
Well, I mean, you're paying someone coming back part-time more than you're paying your other people. And I don't get that either.
You don't get, I don't understand your question.
Is Jody Beckman making $32 an hour?
No.
How about Josh?
No.
How about Linda?
I don't know what Linda's salary is.
I checked Linda's. Linda does get paid more than that part-time rate.
I just,
No, I just, Joan is she's been here for a long time and she's
Only one that's gonna have the knowledge.
she's the only one that really has the knowledge and how to do this. It took her 2 years to train Linda how to do it. And it's a once a year thing, and you do it once a year and then you have to, and then the next year when you do it, well, Becky can attest to that for all the things she does once a year. Try to regroup and try to remember what she did 12 months earlier. So, but Linda's got it down, but she's just way behind. She's gonna need help. And I think Joan can come in and help her get caught up. And we have to get caught up before, Lee can get the drainage assessments into her file and Becky can get the taxes on the new parcels.
Melvin, I don't have a problem. Getting help. You need help.
We need help. That's, it was that
That's the
simple.
bottom, that's the bottom line.
Yeah, and
This person is knowledgeable in what needs to be done.
absolutely, she's done it for years and years and years.
Because she's knowledgeable, she's gonna have to be trained. Well, that's, you don't have to look at those kinds of costs. She go in, go right in, go to
Right.
work.
Yeah, I mean, it's go time, it's crunch time.
Is this within your budget?
Yes, I always budget for some part-time help.
So this is for 4 weeks.
No, it
No.
might be 6 or 8 weeks. I don't know. It depends on how much work we can get out of her.
2 to 3 half days a week?
That's, yeah, that's what she said. She'll come in. Help Linda out the best she can, and if it, if it gets down to in June where it takes 5 days a week, I don't know. When does Becky need the tax list? When do you start working on taxes?
In June. Yeah.
In June. Yeah, so she needs to get that stuff to her in June, and the city wants their stuff last week. Because they have to pass a resolution approving the drainage assessments on 3,000 parcels in the city of Council Bluffs.
Those aren't new parcels. Those have been in the drainage, tax
Unless they were
for a long
transferred.
time.
Yeah, but you have to make sure that they were, and Linda flags those if there were any transfers or splits or combined. So if you get a new parcel number, that has to be counted for. It's just not the same because they don't have the same owners. Now, a transfer will keep the same parcel number, correct?
Yes.
But if it's parcels are split or combined, then they'll get a new parcel number. That's what we have to track so that the drainage assessment is on the right tax bill for the treasurer.
What I hear is there's a sense of urgency, and then what I see on paper is, well, she'll come in and work a couple of hours a day. And I'm not collating the two. A sense of urgency to me is we staff up, we work it hard for five weeks, we get everything into the pipeline, and we get moving on.
Right.
Working a couple of hours a day doesn't meet that.
Well, we don't know what the workload is as she gets into it, and I couldn't tell you how long it's gonna take to do 3,000 parcels. Plus the drainage districts in north of town. She's gotta do those two, plus help her. She's a month behind on the splits and combines. If we don't get it done, then the taxes don't go out.
It'd be interesting to see what other counties in the state are staffed in the auditor's office to accommodate this. I mean, just for comparison purposes, it would be good information to have.
Yeah. They have, I don't know, do they have drainage classes throughout the state? Linda, I don't know where they've had, but most of that, I was chatting with the Montgomery and Mills County auditor when we went to Osceola for the district meeting. What's her name down there? Christine or Liz? Christine down in Mills County is the drainage clerk. The only one. She's like 89 years old and she's not training anybody else. So it's very specialized 79.
We're gonna mix training in with this.
Yeah, that's what I've asked Linda to do, is see if Brad can do some of the data entry work, you learn, but he's
I'm gonna
still,
make a
he's
motion
still.
to approve this temporary clerk position.
I'll second that.
Call the roll, please, Susan.
Okay, we have a motion by Shay and a second by Jorgensen to approve the request to hire a part-time temporary clerk.
Are you making that at $32 or 42 cents an hour, Brian?
I'm just making the motion. I do not. That's his decision. It's his office.
She's
Not crazy.
been an icon in this county for so many years. And she was a deputy. And to take a dump on Joan Miller would be a slap in the face. I know, maybe you guys don't know her, but she'd been around and she held that office together for years and years with Marilyn Joe. And she was a workhorse. And she's willing to come back and help us out. Not just my office, not just the city council Bluffs or Becky or Lee. She's for the whole county.
And this won't interfere with her IPers or anything.
No,
along those
you won't
lines.
be IPers eligible because it won't last through more than 2 quarters. And even if she comes back next year to help out a little bit, don't know that yet. That won't affect her IPers.
We measure on I guess, a weekly or bi-weekly, how far it moved the needle.
Yeah, Linda keeps track of the works that's done.
I mean, we're here to serve the citizens of Pot County and, they gotta wait 6 months to get parcel split. Yes. I don't think that's gonna be acceptable. The city needs to do.
No, it's if she's a month behind, that's not good. That's why
We don't need to wait until an urgency to get these things done.
well, it was kind of a one-off with our, when Christy Hassey left and trying to train new people and one of them didn't work out. So we're trying to train Brad, who is doing a very good job, but he's got a long way to go.
We had time issues in 2018 too, so, I mean, it's not like it's just happening right now, it's an ongoing problem. I mean, I don't have one thing against, Miss Miller, Joan Miller, that is, I just have a problem with, the process and why we had to do it. And this is the first time in, since I've been on the board, that we've had any issues. I don't know why we're having them now.
Well, we're having them now because she's lack help.
Is that something that you can help out with, Mr. Hauser?
I'll do whatever I can.
All right, we have a motion by Shay and a second by Jorgensen to approve. Melvin, will you call the roll, please?
Chairman Miller. Pardon me?
Making up my mind.
Oh, I can move on if you want. Supervisor Shay,
Aye.
Jorgensen.
Aye.
Wickman.
Nay.
Bell.
Miller's an A.
Nay.
Nay. Motion is carried. Right, we scratched or postponed. 3D. Next up, we have Andy Brown, Sheriff, Steve Winchell, Captain, and Trish Bernard's Detention Administrative Coordinator, Discussion and or decision on new positions and the following topics: 4 detention officers, 2 overnight RNs, and office assistants, job description and pay.
I speak still. So we talked about this back in February. We've been in communication since before Christmas with US Marshals contract. We told you guys in February that we were going to come back and take another bite at the apple when we got everything finalized and we knew what monies were going to be and that kind of thing, which is why we're here. So what we discussed back then was our increased revenue. We've settled on right at about 1.3 as an increase. We have, as everyone knows, changed so much operationally, personnel wise. We've added CMAs. So with all these additional changes, we've communicated to you guys that we need staff because staff are doing so much more to satisfy many of these requirements. So what we're looking at is 4 detention officers, 2 on day shift, 2 on night shift. That's 1 per team again. When we came 2 years ago, that was our request. Operationally, once we sat down and looked at where we were bleeding the most, and it was on days, all 4 of those staff members went to days. We came in under budget last year. So now we're coming back. Now that we've been through our 6th inspection, Trish will talk about that real quick here in a moment. And then we're looking at to get 24-hour nursing coverage. So 6 positions, 4 detention, 2 medicals, 2 RNs for our overnight staff. As you guys know, some of the folks that we get in on our off hours when we don't have medical coverage have quite often significant medical needs. We're asking our detention officers and our supervisors to make decisions on the fly, and we would love to get that overnight coverage to assist us there. So that's how we've come up with the 6 positions. With our increase of 1.3, we're asking for about half of that back in salary so we can get some staff to help beef up our staff and continue with all the positive movement that we've done. So that's our ask today. So discussion, if you guys want any additional specifics. Trish talked about the inspection we just went through, where we've come from real quick and what this last inspection turned into and our improvements.
So last Friday, not this past Friday, the Friday before, I received a phone call from our ICE partners saying, be ready because next Tuesday through Thursday, you're going to have a surprise inspection. So we are inspected by ICE for scheduled inspections twice a year. And we have several standards that they require us to be in compliance with. And that compliance is shown through policy, it's shown through our practice, and it's shown through, what auditors come in and actually observe day to day, during their short time that they're in visiting with us. And I think in the 2 years, little over 2 years that I've been around, we have always been in excess of 35 plus deficiencies each inspection. This surprise audit, because of the work that we have put in and that our staff have been gracious enough to follow our lead, we were down to 15. So we're not all the way there yet, but the more we are able to put certain things in place to meet these additional 15 standards, the more, it's going to require more staff.
Trish,
Go ahead.
was the 15, was that sufficient for what we needed?
Yeah, I would say the vast majority of our significant operational changes or heavy lifting is done. At these 15, a lot of it is, we know what you guys are saying this policy, but it really needs to say this. And so some of it is language change. It's not actually procedure process change. It's a lot of it's language change dealing with the federal government. So some of it is they're justifying their existence on some of that stuff. Some of it is absolutely operational need necessary. So some of these changes are not going to require us on this particular inspection because we've done a lot of these changes already. A lot of this is becoming procedural process language. So we are such in a better place now with some of the changes. It's not going to be hurry up and make these massive operational changes that we've done in the last 2 years that we've asked staff to do. And since they're doing these things, we've had these significant reduction in these deficiencies. So we cannot, that's the staff that's doing that. It's not Tricia and I. Yes, we're communicating and we're leading, but it's the staff that's carrying the load. And we're looking to help get a few more hands to the plow to help us continue with this improvement. So
5 of the 15 are repeat deficiencies, so their scoring mechanism. We won't have a report for 30 to 60 days, they say, for the final report. So with repeat deficiencies, it always hits the score a little bit harder. But those 5 are on things that we, right now, we couldn't manage. Our training, our medical assessments being completed, before an individual goes upstairs. When we don't have 24-hour medical coverage, that it's hard for that to happen. So these are the things that we will continue to not be able to meet on those standards, which again puts that contract at risk. And we don't want to do that because, we feel that we have a good relationship with ICE. I mean, they were joking on Thursday during the closeout that, when are you guys going to be ready to open up a second building? Because that's really what they want to do, but we're just not there yet. We are raising that bar of professionalism for our staff, which means we have some required training that we have to provide for our staff, for their safety, for the inmate safety, for any of the community that comes into our facility. There are just things that, we can't compromise on. And with the addition of these additional staff members, it's going to help us cover when we need to send our staff, out for the day for, say, self-defense training, for their taser training, for first aid CPR training, things like that.
well, I'll just finish. Every single inspection team, including this one, has ended the end of the 3-day inspections with, our staff has been so wonderful to work with, accommodating. What they're telling us is a lot of times when they go to these facilities, they are not welcomed that well. And sounds like maybe some attitude with the inspectors, and that's not the case with our staff. Our staff have been nothing but welcoming. We've communicated that we welcome the inspections. It makes us better. And all of them say to our staff at the end of the week, we don't always see that. And we just make sure your staff knows that they have been wonderful to work with. So our staff's doing a great job out there.
You're asking how much?
So 6 positions.
$600,000.
Yeah. So
600
average
even?
100 per, it'd be 4 DOs, 2 overnight RNs to help staff up our medical unit.
I have a multitude of questions. I'm sure you probably expected that.
I did.
When 2 years ago, Susan and Jeff weren't here, but, we increased your staff allotment by 4 people. One of the discussions were, at that time, was hoping to bring down the cost of overtime. And it's done nothing even close to that. We are going to push $1 million in overtime this year. And I mean, we can't keep that pace up. I mean, if we add 4 more people to it, does our overtime go to 2 million?
No.
And during the budget time for, when we gave, our raises for this next fiscal year, it cost us about $2.4 million. We didn't guarantee a total of 400,000. We guaranteed up to $400,000 for 4 new employees in 911. And will they get there? I don't know. But if they do, we committed to cover those costs. So if we were to even try to come close to the raises that we give last year, even if you call it 2 million instead of 2.4, we have $400,000 in 911. Steve wants another 600,000 for the jail. That puts our cost next year over $3 million. We all know House File 718 is already making some changes. I think this is way too premature for us to even consider these positions that the jail wants. I might be able to personally consider maybe on the nurses side, even though I don't believe we should be running a hospital. I think we should be running a jail. But we can't, we don't even know if we can cover a raise next year. How can we afford to hire new people? And with the overtime, at $1 million, we gotta come up with that too. And, you know, when the jail comes in with their budget and they give us their estimate of revenue, I've asked them every year, is there any way that we can expect any more revenue from the federal government for, nope, we aren't comfortable projecting any more revenue than that. We have a new contract signed with the feds. It hasn't even ran its course for 1 year. We don't have the slightest idea if we're gonna get another 1.3 million in revenue. If that doesn't happen, how are we gonna come up with the 600,000 for these 6 people? I mean, this discussion, if it ever happens, at least has to happen at the next budget year. We have some kind of an idea if those revenues are there. Please keep in mind that the increase in the federal dollars to the county from previous years is about 25% more. That's it, 25%. With the cost of inflation, that 25% without even adding these people will be gone in 2 years. And then we have a debt or employee dollars that we're gonna have to cover. And I mean, I'm not kidding. You know, last year's budget for the jail was 11.7 million. You know what it is for this year? 12.8. And we added no employees. You all know how I am, but I mean, just in food, the food budget went up $90,000. I mean, uniform or clothing for the prisoners went up 20. I mean, I can go right on down the list. It all adds up to $1 million. So when you put the numbers to it, and we can't just think about an effect today, we have to look at what is this going to do to us in down the road. And I submit to you that the numbers that I give you for the raises, the 911 that we've already committed to, this anticipated $600,000 in new costs, we can't afford it. If we get, last year we got 1.8 million in new money. Is that what it was? Finish? Or 2 million? 2 million. And we barely made it, and we had deficit spend to do that. We know we're gonna have to get the levy down to $3.50. So we need to dump another 11 cents next year. That we lose $660,000 in revenue right there. Any more spending for employees at this point for this board would put us in a position next budget year to really seriously consider having to cut staff. And I just can't add staff knowing that we could be facing that next budget year. I appreciate Steve coming in and asking for it. The 4 people they added 2 years ago, as I mentioned, didn't help our overtime costs.
It absolutely did. We were under budget, first time ever.
Steve, you're pushing $1 million this year. 1 million. We're only 2 years removed from 4 new employees.
Tim, if you set the federal and state regulations, we'd be under budget, but this is what we have to live by. So
Yeah, well, I'm just saying that, I think it's a novel request. As far as the four deputies, four new, detention officers go. This, I do not feel the taxpayers in this county can afford it. You know, I've said all along, since that jail been opened, that jail and housing federal prisoners has soaked money from the taxpayers of this county since the day one, since they signed that contract. And we're 2 years away from having that same situation occur again because the cost of inflation. I mean, you can see their budget increased $1 million from last year. And they're anticipating 1.3 million in new revenue. The revenue that the jail or that the federal's people may provide us, the new revenue, doesn't even cover what their budget went up. I just think way too early. We don't know what the actual revenue is going to be. It didn't help us 2 years ago on the overtime line. We can't afford it. With the anticipation of less money next budget year than we had this budget year. And we know our departments work their tails off, making sure that they don't ask for any more than what they actually need. So when it comes to time that we don't have enough money to give a raise and the union negotiates those raises, we don't have a choice. We pay them. And to pay them, we have to cut staff. So why do we add staff to cut it? I don't get it. So anyway, that's me. I can't support four. That's just me.
Part of this that we're considering today also included office assistants, job description and pay.
yep, Jen and Trish have been working on that. So I've been out, so they had those discussions. I'll just lead with when we made the changes last year, we brought Raquel over to our side to really start digging into the jail. And she has been a tremendous help to us administratively with all of the moving parts. As you all know, we're the largest budget. So there's a lot going on over there. So Trish and Jen, if you guys want to step into that.
Yeah, Trish and I have been talking about the job description. I didn't see it until Wednesday or Thursday of last week. So high level overview of it today because we're not ready for a decision on it today. High level on it today, though, is to write it so that it accurately depicts what their staff is doing right now, as well as some additional things that she has been doing with what Steve was talking about, just how the jail has grown and their duties has grown, right? So to what Steve was saying is that originally Raquel's or this job was in the sheriff's budget line, even though, so there was some work maybe that was overlapping maybe, but it's now pulled directly over to the jail budget line, which Steve is making that change for July 1st. And so she has done additional things, and as Steve and Trish are growing and changing things, or additional things that the employee needs to do. So more to come for you, Trish. Feel free to add anything else, but more to come for you. So what will be coming to you will be a job description with additional duties and accurately reflecting the duties, possibly a title change, and we will be requesting a pay increase as well.
Pretty much sums it up.
Steve, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you got 4 detention officers, 2 overnight overheads, and office assistants. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, each of those 3. One is a Christmas wish list, the other one is absolute necessity. Can you give me a rundown? I just want to get a feel of what you guys are facing. I know you guys got facing new federal, state regulations every year. Your resources are stretched thin and thinner every year. I understand, totally understand. But I'd like to get just a sense of where you're at on these 3.
So I'll separate the job description we're discussing. That position already exists. We're just looking to make sure it's accurate with what she's now doing. So that's kind of a separate. To answer your question, I'm gonna repeat it to make sure I'm answering what I think you're asking. So for
But
the, for the,
Tim laid out our challenge.
Yep.
Yeah, and
yep, it's a difficult challenge, and you guys have heard me say, and you'll hear me say, jails are expensive to run. It is what it is.
right.
And with all the things that we've been doing with the jail, to answer your question, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it for these 6 positions? I would say it's probably a 9, to make sure that we aren't having repeat issues. We have enough people to get all of the requirements satisfied.
When are you looking to add these?
I'm gonna have that discussion back in December, and it got pushed to the month of April, so here we are. To Tim's point, we don't know if we're gonna get the money. I don't know that we've ever not hit our revenue goal. Because we know what we're going to get. We know how many over the last 20 years, we know what we have operationally. What we always say is we don't know exactly, is because we would take more, but we don't have the bed space to take more. So when Tim says, can you guys increase that? Like we can't increase what we know operationally is consistent. We're not going to chase another 10 or 15 beds when locals might take up those beds. So we've never not hit our revenue. But in communication with Mitch is, it's not wise to then overshoot and chase that. But we've always hit it. And that's why we are unique, coming in and saying, I need 6 positions, but I'm also going to pay for it with the increase, which is separate than the overall increase. So it's kind of 2 separate conversations, but that's why I think we're a little bit unique, is because we're bringing 1.3 to the table that we know we're going to get. What I don't want to commit is to 1.5 additional or 1.6 additional. We know we're going to hit our 1.3. We've always come in above. We don't want to start tacking 6 figures onto that. And if we run heavy in the jail, we don't have bed space for extra feds because our locals are taking those bed space. So that's, communication with Mitch is we don't want to overshoot that. We want to make sure that we're staying consistent with what we've done historically. So to answer your question, yes, if we made an amendment, maybe July 1st like that, but I was hoping to get this done, Christmas time, but we were in the middle of budgets. It took longer with the company we were working with, and it just happened that way. If we could have got this done early in the fall, we would have had a more serious discussion with you guys pre-budget, but it's just the nature of how it happened. And Tim's right, we're going to increase in 2 years, but which is why the feds do 3-year cycles. So we will already start our negotiation with them in the 2nd year of this. So we will communicate, we're the highest in the state by far. And we will continue to negotiate on the county board's behalf in 2.5 years to redo it again.
Some of those revenues have already been spent, as I mentioned, food costs went up $90,000. That kind of stuff. Really, we flat can't afford it. It doesn't matter how you look at it. You could either promise something right now and then face the reality in 6 months, and when we begin the or 8 months, whatever it is, when we begin the budget discussions, or, hey, let's give this a year, find out where we're at, or do we really get that much revenue from this? And, maybe in that period of time, do you do a week-to-week review of your overtime? Where it's coming from, who's?
Every month.
We do it.
Monthly.
We look at it every day, honestly.
What, are you able to identify any problems with it? I mean, why do we have $1 million in overtime?
I don't know where we're getting $1 million from.
Well, I was glad you
I think
asked.
we're on path to be about 680.
You're right now in overtime, you're at 640,000.
Yep.
2 months to go. We've also, paid out about $180,000 in comp time. That puts us at 800,000.
Yep.
And we still have 2 months to go. Yep. So if you take 800,000 and you divide it by 10, that's 80 grand a month. You got 2 months left, 2.5, doing a little. Cause this was last pay period when I had that check.
Yep.
So if that stands true,
We've never included the comp in that dollar amount. That's why I said 680. That's why we're on track for 680. We've never included that,
well,
but I see what you're saying.
yeah.
Yep.
So that puts us at 960. I mean, come on.
Yeah. But if that was the case, then we would have been the same dollar amount last year, but we were under budget on our actual expense of overtime line item.
Remember, we had one inmate that cost us a lot of overtime.
So
It's a hospital.
anyways, that's our ask today. So
So for the overnight RN positions, are there any nursing contract positions available that we could contract with employees or contract with nurses? I know it's unique.
There,
go ahead.
there are contract agencies. Their pricing has gone up significantly.
I would say that would be cost more than actually hiring.
Yeah.
I know nurses in the field and they get considerably.
Agency nurses are usually probably double, if not more.
We do use them now.
Right,
We
for
have
some
line
of our-
item for it, but
For some of our PRNs, filling in, like right now, I mean, we've got somebody on extended leave. So on some weekends, we need to utilize our on-call nurses.
Okay.
So we're already
Yeah, look into
utilizing,
it.
yes, yeah, we've had those for years, the way it sounds.
There aren't, there's a lot of nursing staffing agencies out there. There's a lot. Omaha is saturated, but most of them don't staff jails. So they are very unique. Ryan and Trish and Steve do work with them. And, thinking about nurse hiring too, with Biden now putting in those requirements for nursing homes and long-term care facilities and how many nursing staff they have to have, that is going to take our pool of available nurses and our agency nurses as well. They are going to go fast. So the hiring to get an overnight nurse for the jail will likely take us a while.
Becky, Mitch, got anything to add? Steve, is this your last day in the jail?
yes, I got a lot going on.
Josh, why aren't you up
Yeah.
front in the hot seat?
Yeah.
He's observing.
It's been 2.5 years and I'm just starting to get my head wrapped around the complexity, all the moving parts of our jail. It is very complex.
The
We
the
just never
overtime
get it
has
done.
been an issue for this board since I've been on here. And,
We were very proud to get under last fiscal. This year, just the way it is right now. So
that was.
that will be a goal every year. Yep.
We have never, said no to, increased staff for the jail that I'm aware of. And believe me, I don't want to either, but we flat can't afford it. I mean, we can't, we need to give it some time. Is the revenue projection right? What new money do we have next year? It's not a dire emergency right here for the four jailers, and I think it's very, very premature for the board to move forward, but hey, that's just my opinion.
Including the overnight nurses,
Well,
is that dire?
The nurses,
I would say that's the most critical.
In my years of experience, I mean, honestly, it's all important. Just, like I said, just knowing, one suicide inmate that we have to have somebody constantly watching. We don't have that ability to do that all the time now.
What do we do now for overnight nurse?
they're out of the building at
Yeah.
11 PM.
Right.
So from 11 PM to 06, we've got that window that, our staff they're making judgments on the fly. And if they're concerned, we send them to the hospital, which is an added increase for us. And if we get a nurse there to say, no, this is what is going on, put them on a 30-minute watch, we'll monitor their M, we can get them to the doctor when he gets here in the morning. And a nurse, but we're not having to send as many people out to the hospital, which minimizes our overtime costs with all of our transports that we have. We have My wish list would be about 14 people and have a dedicated transport team of at least 4, but we're not even remotely close to that because of, I know, the constraints, so. Why we're trying to do these small steps at a time.
So the two RNs, I would certainly be trying to find a way to make that.
Didn't we hire some med aides too?
We did.
So we got 2 med aides. How many nurses we got?
I mean, on duty every day.
2. And then, how many mental health advocates do we have?
Covered by Suzanne's budget too.
2.
Yeah. And then, how many doctors do we have?
1 medical doctor, 1 psychiatrist.
On a limited basis.
And we still can't get to all the needs of our population, which is why we have a repeat finding in our last inspection.
Are we providing any services that we don't have to?
Oh, we're providing every service required by law.
Right.
It's not a laughing matter, but it just seems like, every year it becomes more and more of a medical institution versus a,
Mental health.
Yeah.
It's only going to increase. That's number 20 on our list of expected and increased changes.
It is, and I have read about that. The jails are one of the largest mental health facilities in any county.
The largest.
It's not something we produced. It's our society and where we're at.
we're producing it.
And
Well,
and long
we're
term,
not, but it's happening, and it is the biggest mental health
Long-term,
facility in the counties.
we're going to have to have capital for medical.
That's across the nation.
You know,
Right.
we're not asking now, but we've already told Mitch, like, you need to have in the back of your mind that we're gonna have to have some type of capital improvement to increase our medical situation. It's gonna have to, but we'll cross that bridge at a later date.
If the board considered that the 2 nursing positions, that's 200,000. We promised 400,000 in 911. Even doing that, we are going to struggle next year. I mean, I don't know how we're gonna make it without possibly considering some kind of a staff reduction. Boy, I sure don't want to do that. Our roads team barely gets things done, and I mean, it's obvious the auditor's office, we can't cut them. And you look at the lines down at the treasurer's office, every day when we come in, we can't cut anything there. So what, it just doesn't make sense to add people we don't even know if we can pay for next year.
Well, it's a discussion topic, so we're not demanding a vote from you guys today, but we just want to like to communicate with you guys. This is our needs and this is our ask. And if you guys choose to separate that out and you guys choose to do a nurse today, or if we need to have further discussion, we're more than welcome to do that. I just let we're spinning our wheels. So if you guys want to table it, we can have more discussion. If we want to separate out our job description and our nurses, I'd be happy for that as well. So
That might be the thing to do, and let us keep exploring. Really, because the hardest part we do is budget,
very difficult.
stretching every dollar and then not raising these people's taxes.
I just came off of community board myself. I understand.
Yes.
I sympathize with you.
You know,
I do.
It's our concern, especially with the medical side of things, is another lawsuit.
Yeah.
That is what we truly want to avoid, especially where we can identify it now of what our needs are and where we are deficient.
The bookings that come in after 11 PM and before 6 AM have really put the staff at risk.
Yeah.
Right.
If you ever wake up at midnight and you want something to do, come hang out and booking for a bit. That's
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Got a couple of them down there today.
Mm.
Unfortunate, but
Very difficult job, our staff
very,
do.
very high need.
You guys all know that, so.
All right, so we've got some options. We can do nothing today. We can divide it. We can approve or vote on nurses as one action item and detention officers as one action item. Tim brings forth some very valid points about budget.
If I can, Susan, I'm sure you didn't bring your budget with you, did you? No. Let me see. Overtime wages. This is right after the, salaries for the nurses and stuff. The overtime wages on that, is that for our nurses?
Yep.
We
I
added,
assume so.
we added two, could you cut that in overtime out?
I'm gonna say yes. A lot of our nurse overtime comes in the night shift hours because they're so busy through the evening before lockdown that our nurses have charting and reports and those types of things. So a lot of our overtime bleeds into that overnight hours after 2300. So if our night, if we can get this night shift, have that overlap in the evening, that overnight nurse can do a lot of that paperwork throughout that shift.
Do they work 12 hours or 8 hours?
12.
Does, one last question. Can you cut
Really?
four? No, can you cut $400,000 worth of expenses out of your budget?
I don't see where that exists today.
Okay. Well, I don't see how we afford it. I hate to keep adding, medical staff to our jail. But, if we're gonna pay $50,000 in overtime for our nurses, I don't really have an issue on the nurses side of things, Steve. I really don't. I don't like it.
Sure.
I really don't, because it sounds like we're running a hospital instead of jail. But if you want to,
Certainly running a mental health institute.
if you want to put together a job description for those and advertise, I'll move that we give them approval for 2 nurses.
I'd second that.
Repeat the motion. Was that a motion?
Motion by Wickman and a second by Belt to approve adding 2 overnight RN positions.
Sounds like it'd be a long haul to get them filled. So keep us posted. Guess that's a little bite out of the apple.
Shoot it.
Thank you very much, Trish.
Right. Additional discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming in, presenting your case.
No.
Doing your jobs well.
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys.
Yep.
Okay.
Josh, congratulations and good luck. Yeah. Need it. You'll need it.
Okay, in the essence of time, let's skip over committee appointments unless somebody had something blaring that they wanted to call out. It has,
But that's okay.
Joe, you're first.
Much.
Joe Munch. Third Street, Neola.
Hello, Joe.
Hello, Brian.
And the rest of the board,
I've got a statement I gotta read. Sorry, hold on a second, Joe. Okay, now begins our public comment portion of the agenda. In an effort to protect the privacy of individuals and reduce the potential broadcasting of defamatory and/or confidential information, our live broadcast will now end. Information regarding public